While Fox News host Tucker Carlson has been using his airtime to offer a counter-narrative of January 6th, portraying the Capitol riot as peaceful chaos, it is worth remembering that Kevin McCarthy, the Speaker of the House, who enabled this false narrative by giving Tucker Carlson access to the surveillance footage in the first place, it is worth remembering that Mr. McCarthy once had a pretty clear understanding of what happened that day.
These men and women in the uniform, they got overrun. One officer got killed. I went down and said they got broken arms. You don't understand what was transpiring at that moment in that time. People hanging, people brought ropes. When I got back into my building, I found the straps that they had. I don't know, they'd come and try to kidnap somebody or whatever, but they were well planned for it.
Fast forward to today, and Republicans now find themselves in the very uncomfortable position of having to either get on board with Tucker Carlson's alternate reality or actually speak the truth about what happened on January 6th. Yesterday, Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell called Carlson's depiction of January 6th a mistake. Today, his Senate colleagues Mitt Romney and Lindsey Graham also denounced Carlson's efforts.
There's no question but that January 6th was a riot, an insurrection attempt, an effort to overturn the process designed in the Constitution to allow the voice of the people to be carried out in who we have as our elected representatives.
I don't take any part in whitewashing January 6th. It wasn't a stroll through the Capitol. It was an attack on our Capitol.
Texas Republican Congressman Dan Crenshaw also ridiculed the ELF effort, telling Politico today, if your message is to try and convince people that nothing bad happened, then it's just going to make us look silly. But not everyone agrees. Today we learned that Georgia Congresswoman and McCarthy ally Marjorie Taylor Greene and House Oversight Chair James Comer are planning a congressional delegation to visit January 6th defendants in jail, a field trip to the D.C. jail to check in on the insurrectionists. House Republicans are also planning multiple new probes into January 6th, specifically the security failures from that day and potentially the treatment of January 6th defendants. Also, an investigation into the January 6th committee itself. That last investigation will be led by Georgia Congressman Barry Loudermilk, who, according to the January 6th committee, gave a private tour of the Capitol to a rioter the day before the attack. Joining us now is Tim Miller, writer for The Bulwark and an MSNBC political analyst. Tim, it's great to have you here. I always turn to you for a reading of the insanity inside the GOP, and today is no different than the other days. What happens in this fight to relitigate history? I mean, on one hand, the fact that you have some establishment Republicans coming out and saying it was an insurrection, don't believe it was anything else, seems like a good sign for truth. But the reality is that the base really likes to relitigate fights that make Donald Trump look bad. And Donald Trump seems intent on relitigating this. Marjorie Taylor Greene seems intent on it. You know, they're powerful voices in the Republican caucus, and I wonder how you think this ends.
Yeah, it's a burden and a privilege to be the one having the expertise in this matter, Alex. Thank you for having me. Look, I think that it ends not well politically for Kevin McCarthy. Kevin McCarthy is forced to, let Marjorie Taylor Greene carry him around on a leash and determine what should be done for the caucus. Look, Mitch McConnell, there are plenty of criticisms you can levy at Mitch McConnell, but he at least has always tried to do what was the most politically palatable for the Republican conference in the Senate, while doing what he needed to do to suck up to Donald Trump. So that was not a profile in courage, of course, but at least he was trying to always, look to what was the best politically for Republicans, when he was making these moves, when he's navigating Trump's craziness. Kevin McCarthy is just fully giving in to Trump. And I think that this demand that was put forth by Tucker Carlson, remember, during the umpteen different ballots before Kevin became speaker, this demand that this footage be put out, the demand that we relitigate the January 6th committee, the demand that we look into whether the DOJ wrongfully targeted the people that attacked the Capitol, those were all demands being put forth by the MAGA wing of the party and by Tucker Carlson. And Kevin McCarthy has had to just completely give in to them, not because it's the right thing for the party to do. It's obviously the wrong thing, as Mitch McConnell and Lindsey Graham and others have said, but because it's what he has to do to stay in the speakership.
Well, yeah, and Kevin McCarthy knows what he said that day. We played the audio where he's very clear about the threats he faced. We have footage from him on the floor of Congress talking about the dangers that day. he knows he said those things. And yet, I mean, Tucker Carlson, in a way, as you would tell it, is asking Kevin McCarthy to commit political suicide. Hand over the tapes or you don't get the speakership. But once you hand over the tapes, it's going to put you in effectively an untenable position. So do you think, I mean, do you think this issue animates the fractious wing of his party enough that it could actually cost him the speakership in the end, once these investigations are underway and a relitigation of January 6th is actually happening?
Yeah, well, you can't. The reason why he's speaker right now is because you can't beat someone with nobody.
Right.
And the MAGA wing of the party, you know, has a lot of people that are good on Newsmax and good on social media, but don't have a lot of people that are ready to replace him as speaker. So will it cost him a speakership? I don't know. But I think that it's just a tiny preview of this box that he's put himself in. That's going to happen over and over again on issue after issue. Look at Kyiv, for example. He was invited to Kyiv by Zelensky. Any other Speaker of the House would have obviously gone there to show solidarity with our ally, you know, to demonstrate foreign policy bona fides. Kevin can't do that because he knows that there's the Russophile caucus, will be mad at him for going and hanging out with Zelensky. So he can't do that. The same thing's going to come up when the funding comes around again for Ukraine. His own chief of staff said he's already put himself in a box on the debt limit to such a degree that he can't meet the promises that he's already made to his own caucus. So can he continue to survive for a while, right, or until someone else comes up to challenge him? But I do think that they will continue to advance these total own goals, that do nothing to help the Republican Party broadly, but only serve, his political survival in the short term. And I think this is just the first really high-profile example, and that there are going to be more to come.
You're between a rock and a hard place when your options are either relitigating January 6th or preparing the country for a catastrophic default courtesy of your own party. But that is where the Speaker of the House finds himself today. Tim Miller, thank you, my friend, as always, for making sense of the madness.